Well, it's time for the archives. We're back to Monday, back to starting off another week's worth of fabulous pieces of history here in South Central Kentucky. Sam Terry, well-known historian, is with us on the radio today to kind of get your day started off right. It always gets mine going good. And Sam, you okay today?
I'm doing well. How are you today, Henry?
Did you have a big weekend?
Yes. It was nice to have some mild weather.
Yeah, it was. It was like some folks were really bragging on how pleasant that it was. It was pleasant. And before we get too deeply into the archives, I think we talked about it all last week, but we want to remind everybody you have not missed it. We're going to learn about Cousin Emmy this week, Sam. Tell us about it.
That's right. Barren County native Cynthia Mae Carver, who was known by her stage name as Cousin Emmy, and became quite well known around the country for her musical abilities and entertaining skills and so forth. And she's going to be the subject of a program presented Thursday evening at the Barren County Historical Society by Nancy Ritchie. And the name of this program is Crowing Hen, Cousin Emmy, a Kentucky pioneering performer. And Nancy has been assembling her research on Cousin Emmy for several years, and this is presented in part by the Kentucky Humanities Council at 6 o'clock Thursday evening at the Cultural Center.
I believe it's going to be fun, too. I really do.
It will be.
I can't wait to learn more about it. All right, let's roll back the clock 100 years, an entire century, Sam. Look at what's going on the 22nd day of July in 1924. And we've been talking about this. We're going to speculate a little bit here, but in the Glasgow Times, they report that the incubator, which was built by Jim Wilson just after the Civil War and located on Broadway and Red Row, was destroyed by fire Tuesday morning. Now, the origin of the fire is unknown. The property, formerly owned by Steve Landrum, was actually owned by Franny McIntyre. Now, Sam and I can't decide what the incubator was. We know it was flammable.
Yes, it was, and it was getting some age on it by 1924.
Yeah.
And perhaps it was an incubator.
It might have been.
For poultry or something like
or
that.
maybe burning trash, you think, possibly? Who knows?
Who knows? But it was off of Broadway.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting.
Well,
maybe somebody
I
will
wish
know
somebody
and let
would
us
tell
know.
us. Somebody who knew what the incubator was. We should have a contest.
Yes.
What is the incubator? But it burnt down, whatever it was, 100 years ago today. This is in the Glasgow Republican in 1934. This morning we read about work expected to start today on construction of a new 4-room brick veneer school building at Temple Hill. The project to be done by Harry Smith, a local contractor. The new building will be located alongside of the old building on the side toward Temple Hill. I can figure out where that is, can't you?
Absolutely, and exciting news for the Temple Hill community.
That's right. Always have taken care of the youth out there at Temple Hill, and regardless of whether it was in sports or in academics or whatever, this was a nice move in that direction at Temple Hill. We have some news out of Cave City today, Sam, in the archives. With some big Cave City names here, I got to tell you. We've got Mrs. G.P. Peterson and daughter Gail spent a few days with her sister in Lebanon, Tennessee. Mrs. Lizzie Tucker is spending several days in Sulphur Well. Corporal and Mrs. J.B. Gardner of Indianapolis, Indiana, have been the guests of his mother, Mrs. J.B. Gardner. That's just some of the visit. It's a good time to visit here in late July in 1944.
People from Cave City were traveling.
That's right. Interesting story in 1954. We have a story about no date that's been announced for the beginning construction of the modern Economic Security Building to be located on North Green Street. Meanwhile, plans are being made to clean out that site of weeds and keep it in good condition for the starting date. Now, my natural presumption is that's the building that's right out there, what we call the employment office now.
Exactly.
And so that construction goes back to 1954?
It does indeed.
My goodness. And, I can see where there's a lot of growth kind of in behind that building. I'm sure they had to keep it cleaned out before they got the building built, calling it the Economic Security Building. 1954. 1964, little ag news here, big news actually. The first calf to be born as a result of the first non-surgical embryo I can't say the word. Let me try it again, Sam. The first non-surgical embryo transplant in dairy animals. That was the result of Barren County native Larry Mutter. Now, Larry is a UK graduate student doing the research on the bovine egg transplants at the Kentucky Dairy Center. That was pretty pioneering in 1964.
That was cutting edge.
I'm sure that Larry's family has a lot of family around here who was very proud of his work there in 1964.
No doubt about it.
1974, we learn about Bob Taylor. Bob Taylor is the new manager at the Glasgow Country Club restaurant, an important position to be held there in 1974. 1984, we have news about Jerry Harris, principal at Glasgow High School for the past 7 years, has been employed as the new principal at Paducah Tillman High School in Paducah. He went west, young man, way west. Mr. Jerry Harris, he was an excellent principal at Glasgow High School and moved on to Paducah Tillman there in 1984. Let's see. We also have the news today about George Hughes, a World War I veteran, presented the Adjutant General's Award for Excellence. Now, Mr. George Hughes will celebrate his 105th birthday on July the 31st.
My goodness.
I remember when that celebration was going on. Apparently a fine gentleman to have known. I think I maybe met him one time, but a really nice guy to talk to for sure. And what an award. It was this day in 2004 we could have attended the big reception honoring the new interns of the University of Louisville's Glasgow Barren County Family Medicine Residency Program. I don't know who all to credit with the inception of that particular program. I can think of several names, but I'd leave a few out. But it has been a very, very positive thing that was set up here in Glasgow and has made a difference. We have some excellent, excellent physicians who have come to Glasgow to finish their residency and wound up setting up practice here, Sam.
They certainly have.
And there's something to be said for the type of health care we have, just courtesy of the Family Medicine Residency Program. Some more school news here. In 2014, we've got the news that Mr. Brad Johnson is named the Barren County High School girls basketball coach. Did a good job at that one, too, for sure. So what do you think, Sam?
That's a lot of news.
Got a lot of history, and we did that little plug about Cousin Emmy, so we'll just be ready for a full week's worth of history. And want to thank some of our folks who volunteer, like Peggy Nims and Matt Sanderson and Rich Crow and Wanda Houchins, helping to dig out the archives. And we will share some more of that harvest tomorrow right here on WCLU.